From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024. We open with the devastating news this weekend that 6 Israeli hostages were executed by terror group Hamas while in captivity in Gaza. Their bodies recovered by the IDF on Saturday night, brought back to Israel and identified several hours later. They are 24-year-old Eden Yerushalmi, 25-year-old Master Sergeant Ori Danino, 32-year-old Alex Lobanov, 40-year-old Carmel Gat, 27-year-old Almog Sarusi, and 23-year-old Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who was also an American citizen. Here's IDF International spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani sharing the tragic news on Sunday.
It is with a heavy heart that we share the news that the bodies of 6 Israeli hostages, who were all taken hostage alive by Hamas during the October 7th massacre and murdered in Hamas captivity, were recovered from inside a tunnel in Rafah and have been brought back to Israel. Hamas continues to hold 101 hostages, including women, children, and the elderly, in brutal conditions inside Gaza. We will not rest until we fulfill our mission of bringing all our hostages home, by all means possible.
The bodies were found with multiple gunshot wounds, murdered presumably just a day or two before IDF troops who were searching in the area in Rafah got to them. The Times of Israel cited spokesperson for the IDF, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, saying that since Farhan was found, referring to the Israeli hostage Farhan al-Qadi, rescued from a Hamas tunnel in Gaza last week, troops were given an emphasis on operating carefully, even more than usual, because of the understanding that additional hostages may be in the area, noting the IDF did not have information on the exact location of the hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that together with all citizens of Israel, I was outraged to the depths of my soul by the horrific, cold-blooded murder of 6 of our hostages. I say to the Hamas terrorists who murdered our hostages, and I say to their leaders, you will pay the price. We will not rest, nor will be silent. We will pursue you, we will find you, and we will settle accounts with you. The Prime Minister adding, for our part, we will not relent. The government of Israel is committed, and I am personally committed to continue striving toward a deal that will return all of our hostages and ensure our security and our existence. The hostages were laid to rest over the last 2 days, where thousands came to pay their respects and accompany the grieving families, including at the funeral of Hirsch Goldberg Poland in Jerusalem. Israel's President Isaac Herzog spoke at the funeral, saying how sorry he was that he said we failed to bring him home safely. Herzog saying, we call on the whole world to act, to leave no stone unturned, to end Hamas's crimes against humanity and bring the hostages home now. U.S. President Joe Biden released a statement on the murders of the hostages, saying, I am devastated and outraged. Biden spoke of Hirsch, whose parents, Rachel and John, he has gotten to know over the last 11 months, saying they have been relentless and irrepressible champions of their son and of all the hostages held in unconscionable conditions. Biden said, I admire them and grieve with them more deeply than words can express. I have worked tirelessly to bring their beloved Hirsch safely to them, and I am heartbroken by the news of his death. It is as tragic as it is reprehensible. Make no mistake, the president said, Hamas leaders will pay for these crimes, and we will keep working around the clock for a deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages. Vice President Kamala Harris also spoke of Hirsch and of the battle against Hamas, saying Hamas is an evil terrorist organization. With these murders, Hamas has even more American blood on its hands. I strongly condemn Hamas's continued brutality, and so must the entire world. From its massacre, she said, of 1,200 people to sexual violence, taking of hostages, and these murders, Hamas's depravity is evident and horrifying. The threat Hamas poses to the people of Israel and American citizens in Israel must be eliminated, and Hamas cannot control Gaza. The Palestinian people, too, have suffered under Hamas's rule for nearly 2 decades. As vice president, I have no higher priority than the safety of American citizens wherever they are in the world. President Biden and I will never waver in our commitment to free the Americans and all those held hostage in Gaza. The remaining hostages held in Gaza now for 333 days. Yesterday, the White House said Biden and Harris met in the White House Situation Room with the U.S. hostage deal negotiation team following the murder of the hostages, where they received an update from the U.S. team on the status of the bridging proposal outlined by the United States, Qatar, and Egypt, saying they discussed next steps in the ongoing effort to secure the release of hostages, including continuing consultations with co-mediators, Qatar and Egypt. Well, tens of thousands took part in demonstrations in Israel this weekend and into today, as well as in other parts of the country, calling to seal the deal and bring the hostages safely home. 3 Israeli police officers were murdered in a terror attack in the West Bank on Sunday, where a Palestinian terrorist opened fire on their police vehicle near the Palestinian city of Turkamiyah, killing 37-year-old Chief Inspector Arik Ben Eliyahu, 53-year-old Command Sergeant Major Hadas Branch, and 61-year-old First Sergeant Roni Shakuri. Shakuri's daughter, Mor, also a police officer, was murdered on October the 7th, battling Hamas terrorists trying to take over the police station in Sderot. The terrorist in Sunday's attack was killed later in the day Sunday in a gun battle with IDF troops. And an Israeli soldier was killed in the West Bank on Saturday, battling Hamas terrorists in Jenin during a large-scale IDF counter-terror operation. He is 20-year-old Staff Sergeant Elkanah Navon. 3 other soldiers were also injured. The IDF continues to battle Hamas in Gaza, and it said today that it eliminated a Hamas commander who on October the 7th invaded the community of Nativ HaAsara using a paraglider and took command of the massacre of civilians. He was among some 8 terrorists killed in a precise airstrike on a compound being used by Hamas in Gaza City. And the IDF continues to defend its northern border with Lebanon amid continuing rocket and drone attacks from terror group Hezbollah all weekend and into today. No injuries were reported. The IDF hit Hezbollah terror targets in Lebanon in response. Well, we turn now to Paris for some good news. That is another gold medal for Israel at the Paralympic Games, won by Israeli swimmer Ami Dadaon in the men's 200-meter freestyle S4 disability class. This is Dadaon's 3rd medal at the Games in Paris so far, his 2nd gold. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, September the 3rd at 7 o'clock. Israeli historian and author Benny Morris gives a lecture at the ISGAP-Oxford Summer Institute entitled A New Look at the 1948 War. At 8, Justin Pines is joined by Shai Held, president and dean of the Hadar Institute, to explore various approaches to Teshuva, repentance, as well as reflections after October the 7th. At 9, Shlomo Riskin and Kenneth Brander are on L'chaim. At 10:30, an encore of the news. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.